Hey, it's Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, with a morning drive, and shouting out to all the people who are on my Facebook page, CoachMD. And as you know, as many of you know, I'm a medical doctor, and what I do with my CoachMD page is primarily focused on elevating all of us, empowering all of us, and for total wellness in mind, body, and spirit. And again, as those of you who know me know, that what I feel to be a truly authentic, holistic doctor is to consider the whole of the person, and that is to achieve balance in mind, body, and spirit. And this is never about me. My page is never about me. It's all about everyone else, because I feel that our world can only be as successful as the people in it. And what that success means is not me trying to take care of people, or me being a celebrity or being at the center of attention, but it's to give tools that I've learned in my life, both personally and professionally, to help people empower themselves. Many doctors feel that they need to take care of people, and when asked, many doctors will say what they like about what they do is they like to take care of people. But I'd like to let you in on a little secret. I'm a medical doctor. I don't like to take care of people. No. Instead, I like to provide tools, knowledge, wisdom to help you empower yourself so you can be the best that you can be. So you can achieve that success, in a holistic success, in your finances, in your relationships, in your health. And to me, that's the most important thing. So what I'd like to talk to you today about are the 3 T's. And these are things that a lot of times when I get my inspiration is through prayer and meditation, which I do on a daily basis. And the 3 T's that I'd like to talk to you about are truth, let me remember that, our truth, our thanks, and the 3rd T that I'd like to talk to you about is going to be coming up shortly. So what's the first T? The first T of truth. I've said this for a long time, is that the 2 most important things in our life to achieve success are self-honesty and perseverance. And the truth is all about self-honesty. If we're going to be successful in our lives, we have to be honest with ourselves. What motivates us? What makes us angry? And looking into that, when somebody says something, or somebody, let's say, has something greater than us, or has achieved something greater than us, or we perceive them to have something more than us, how does that make us feel? If somebody's driving along the car like I'm driving now, and let's say somebody's driving a fancier car than you, right? And they cut in front of you. What's the first thing you think of? Those rich, selfish people, whatever. That's the first thought. Well, when we have a feeling, when we're triggered by somebody who we perceive as having more than us, or being more successful, or happier, or whatever it is, being better than us, and that triggers in us, all of us, our primitive fight or flight reaction, because those people that we perceive having more than us, or having succeeded, or whatever, being greater than us, those people pose a threat to us. And as primitive animals, our animal nature, what we do is we will fight and flee that which makes us feel vulnerable, that we feel can cause us danger, or that threatens us. It's our automatic, instinctual reaction, fight or flight. We all have it. If the people who are the least honest with themselves will always point the finger and say, "Oh, I don't have it. It's those people over there. They're the ones. They're not the woke ones. They're not the most enlightened ones, they have it. I'm enlightened. I'm woke, as the new term is. I'm woke to my enlightenment. I don't have any of those. Oh no, I'm not an animal. I don't have those animal reactions. Oh, not me, not CoachMD. Well, guess what? Yeah, CoachMD has them just like you have them, just like everyone has them. We all have these animal reactive primitive instincts that show up in fight or flight. And in order to really achieve in life, and it doesn't have to be money success only, okay? I'm talking about relationships and even our health. We need to be truthful to ourselves. We need not to be afraid of the truth. Like A Few Good Men, like Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth. That's not a really good Jack Nicholson imitation, but that's what he says in that movie, which is very powerful because most of us can't handle the truth. Most of us are really good at pointing the finger and saying that other people aren't truthful, but I am. Other people don't have that primitive instinct, that reactive nature. Other people have it, I don't have it, right? Well, that's wrong because we all have it. And so the first of those T's, of the 3 T's, is being truthful. It's important to look into ourselves and be honest and understand that when someone does us wrong, or someone one-ups us, or we start getting out of our comfort zone, or we start having feeling that somebody should love us who doesn't love us, that will always trigger our fight or flight reactive, primitive, animalistic nature. And that will cause us to do things that will be contrary to our ultimate success. So that's the first T, being truthful, self-honesty. The second T is being thankful. And it's a challenge for a lot of people who are in circumstances that are hard, are challenging, to be thankful. But the secret I've learned in my life, that when we're thankful, when we're able to glean out gratitude and thanks in circumstances, when we're going through circumstances that are particularly challenging, those circumstances all of a sudden become a little bit more tolerable, a little bit more manageable, a little bit more able to deal with them. And what that has a way of doing is helping open up our minds, so then we can go forward and get out of those challenging circumstances much more efficiently than we would be able to when we're so mired in the dread of woe is me and look what's happened to me, and unable to see anything good in our lives. Well, there was a story that Joel Osteen once told, and it was very interesting. I call this a little daily magic. I'm going to deviate a little bit, but when I wrote my book Brain Drain 10 years ago now, in 2009, 10 years ago, I can't believe it. I used an example in that book that I heard a story that Joel Osteen told, and it was a story about a gentleman who came to his spiritual leader and said that he was depressed. Nothing in his life was good. Everything was bad. And the spiritual leader said to him, "Oh, gee, I'm sorry to hear that your wife's ill." And he goes, "What are you talking about? My wife's not ill. My wife's very healthy." And then the spiritual leader said, "You know, I'm sorry that you lost your home." And the gentleman said, "Excuse me? Lost my home? My house is fine. My home is intact. What are you talking about?" And then the spiritual leader said to him, "Yeah, I'm really sorry that you lost your job." And the guy goes, "What are you talking about? Lost my job? I have a job. I have a pretty decent job, actually." And so the spiritual leader looked at him, and he started to get the idea that, no, all things in your life aren't going badly. There are things in your life for which you need to have gratitude and thanks. So I can guarantee you that as challenging as your life may be right now, you can glean something out of that life to to be thankful for, to be grateful. So the first T was truth. The second T is thanks. So what's that third T that you've been hanging around to hear about? Well, the third T is trust. This is a hard one. This is a hard one for so many of us, including me. Look, as I've told you before, I have a very strong, deep faith in God. Now, I'm not expecting you to have that same deep faith that I have, but that faith, I can tell you, is challenged on a daily basis. And when I say trust, that means trust in your life, trust in your gifts and talents, and trust in that entity that we cannot put our finger on, that we cannot define with our five senses, that's outside our human nature, that really is our divine nature. And that divine nature is something that is not explained by what you've learned in logic, what you've learned in your day-to-day education and your day-to-day math and science. I can tell you that right now. You can believe that that's all there is science, but that's what a lot of scientists believed 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. They thought they knew it. They thought their science explained everything. Well, to have trust in something that you can't see, feel, touch, smell, taste is very, very challenging. But as I've said before, as I truly believe, if God exists, God is in everyone or God is in no one. That means God, the divine nature, your divinity is in you just as it is in me. No different, the same. So in order for us to trust, to have that trust in our lives that things are going to turn out, when our intentions are correct and are in line with our deep truth and thanks, then the right things will happen at the right time for the right reasons. For your reasons. Not for my reasons. My life and what's good for me is probably not what's good for you. But to trust that the right things will happen at the right time for the right reasons when our intentions are in line. So what does that mean? Well, when I was in high school, I wasn't the most successful high school student. Not academically, not socially. In fact, I joke around. It's probably a little bit too self-deprecating, but I joke around that if there was a medal, an award for the least likely to succeed, I would get it. All right. Well, that may be a little bit pushing it in the self-deprecating, but I can tell you I was not so successful. So fast forward many years of my life, the tendency for many people would be to want to one-up those who made us feel less successful, to maybe go back and throw in the face of those who once we felt were bigger than us, and throw it in the face of them and say, oh, look at me now, pound my chest, stroll around my trophy wife, stroll around my bank account or my home or whatever it is, I mean, again, money, health, and relationships. Those are the things that we have challenges for, but those are the things we use to one up other people also. So it would be a tendency for many people to do that. Well, that's when our intentions are not lined up. Because if we have the intent and we act in accordance with our automatic brain, as I call it, our primitive reactive animal nature, then that's not when our intentions are lined up. So the right things are not going to happen for the right reasons at the right time. But if we trust in our divine nature, truly in the mind which we've been gifted to connect with that divine nature, then the right things will happen at the right reasons at the right time. The right things will happen at the right time for the right reasons, and that's what we need to trust in. So we need to trust that when we are in alignment with our true faith in something greater than ourselves, which I call God, and that helps us get through our understanding of our physical world, then we need to trust that those things will happen, and that will show itself in ways that you can't really imagine. You know, I told the story of the daily magic that occurred when I started telling about the Joel Osteen story. I mentioned daily magic. Well, that story I heard when I was tuned to the Joel Osteen station on Sirius XM. I heard that story the other morning. Now, as many of you have known listening to my previous video, my mother is gravely ill, and in fact she's going to die within the next weeks to maybe month or two or whatever, and you know, that's obviously a source of great pain, because it doesn't matter how old you are, it's your mother, and it's something that hurts, but it's something that I know is part of life, and I know that soul will go on. But so why I tell that is not for sympathy, although I appreciate your well wishes. It's to tell you that certain challenges in our life, when we are open to our divine nature and trusting in it, we know that certain events will happen in our daily life to give us reaffirmment, to reaffirm that there is something greater than us that's watching over us. So I was tuning into that station, and I wasn't going to listen to it because I haven't listened to it in some weeks, but something just kind of in me tuned to it. And just as I tuned to it, he was telling this story that I shared with you a few minutes ago. And that story I hadn't heard since I wrote it in my book 10 years ago. I call that daily magic. Another occurrence that happened recently, I told about the plastic case in a couple videos ago. But I'll tell you another daily magic, little miracle. I know we're all waiting for the big miracle, and we tell, well, if that big miracle came, if the sky opens up and we see the angels, or the parting, if we saw the parting of the Red Sea, well, we'd believe then. Yeah, I'd believe it then. Well, if we look for the daily miracles that happen in our life, that could actually propel us. So I was driving home after visiting my mother a few weeks ago, and my wife was asleep in the car, and I was feeling particularly drowsy, really drowsy, dangerously drowsy actually. And sometimes I'll stop. It's about an hour and a half drive. I'll get some tea or even a Diet Coke. Woo, that's bad. Ooh, bad. CoachMD drinks Diet Coke. Well, occasionally I do, especially if it's a long drive. But anyway, I didn't stop because we were almost home. But I was particularly drowsy, like I said, dangerously so. And we drive by, and I'm driving, actually on the road I'm driving now, going the other way, and we pass a state trooper. I looked at my speedometer, and I wasn't speeding. I maybe a little over the speed limit, but wasn't in a way that I thought I'd be stopped. So I'm driving along, and about 5 minutes later, I see the lights in my rearview mirror. And as you know, that is a perfect example to get the automatic brain going and the heart pounding, because that's a reaction of danger. So I pull over, and I do have a badge, because I do the police department. I am a doctor for the police department, so I have to be honest, I do have a badge, and I did flash my badge with my license, and the state trooper shined his light in our car, and he said, "Sir, do you know why I'm stopping you?" And I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, you were driving 80 miles an hour, which I know I wasn't. I looked and I was driving 70. And your lights are off. You're driving without your lights. That's impossible. I looked down, I looked at the dial. It's a dial, it's not a switch that can be accidentally flipped. And it was turned all the way counterclockwise to the left, which means my lights are off. I quickly turned it to the A in the middle, which means automatic, that they go on automatically. Now, there's no way that I could have accidentally flipped that switch at any time in the last few weeks. The only time would have been if I went to a parking garage and the attendant sometimes turns them off thinking that they're on, but I hadn't been in a parking garage. I spoke with my family to say, were my lights on in the garage and then you went in the car to turn it off? No, never happened. And where it's located in the car, I can't accidentally switch it. And I didn't do it. I didn't switch it. How did it get? It's always in the A middle spot all the way. How could that have happened? Well, through my trust and my faith, I could only imagine that was something that was done, because once you're stopped by a police officer, you're wide awake. I mean, anyone who knows that knows if you see those lights, and this happened to me many times, unfortunately, not that I'm a bad driver or criminal, but anybody who drives, doesn't matter who you are, I think you've been stopped by a police once or twice. Me, unfortunately, probably a half a dozen times. I'm kind of used to it. But it woke me up. So I could only think that if I hadn't been awakened, literally, who knows? Maybe I would have fallen asleep at the wheel. Maybe there was an accident, or somebody was going to stop short in front of me up ahead. I wouldn't have been alert enough. I would have smashed into whatever it was. To me, I look at that through my trust and my faith that I was being looked over and being protected. And that gives me more faith and more ability to deal with the health challenges of my family right now. So those are the 3 T's: truth, thanks, and trust. I can tell you, if you hold on to those in your daily life, you will see that you'll have enough money. Your relationships will be solid and pure and good and loving and romantic when they need to be, not with your family, well, not with your family other than your spouse or your partner, and your health will be where it needs to be. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you get a little bit more understanding of who I am, Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, and how important it is for me to empower you to live the best life that you can. As I've said in the past, live your everyday extraordinary. Because if all of us are striving for that, and all of us are looking to have trust and to have thanks, and to have the self-honesty, that truth, to have thanks and to trust in our divine nature, connecting with our higher power, as I call God, for you to have that and to hold on to that, it'll line up your intentions so that the right things will happen at the right time for the right reasons, and elevates you and give you exactly what you need in your health, in your money, and your relationships. May not mean you're going to make $1 million, but maybe 50,000 is what's right for you. Maybe $1 million is what's right for you. Maybe meeting the love of your life when you're 55 years old is what's right for you. Maybe meeting the love of your life when you're 25 years old is right for you. Whatever it is. Maybe it's competing in the Paralympics, which is right for you. What's right for you is going to be vastly different than what's right for somebody else. And when you embrace the 3 T's, I know that you will connect with your divine nature on a daily basis in a truthful, loving, and caring way. So until next time, I'm Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, coming at you live, Facebook Live, in my car, driving safely. Until next time, I love you, God bless, and thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.